Regular meeting of the Eastpointe City Council on Tuesday, December the 6th, 2016 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation given by Councilman Sarah Lucido. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, as we near this most special time of the year, let us all take a moment to reflect upon our own lives. While we journey through this life, we have the opportunity to give or to take, to destroy or build, to help others or ignore them. We continue to be thankful for the many blessings you have given us, and let us be ever mindful of the decisions we make, not only affect the people of today, but future generations as well. Please take us down the path that lead us to the betterment of those who follow us. It is in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Present.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes, here.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Here.
Councilperson Marion?
Here.
Mayor Pixley?
Here. With that, we'll move to the first hearing of the public. A number of you have requested to speak, and I've explained to each of you that you have 3 minutes to talk. And if you can't complete it in 3 minutes, you can always come back to the second hearing of the public, which is after most of the business. So with that, does anyone wish to speak tonight? And please step forward and state your name.
Good evening. My name is Victor Blumiza. I represent one of the cleaning companies that bid in for the custodial services. The name of the company is WeBe Cleaning Services. With that, I would like to start about the bidding process, which I had some issues with it. I think that the process was some kind of affected with some decisions that were taken before and afterwards. One of my main issues was that after the bidding process, there were companies that were in ties with the people that participated in the bid. Like after we placed the bids, there was the second company that's right now placed on the name to get a contract. They had a private talk with one of the people that collected the bids, and I brought that up, and it was just like, oh, we have a fine discussion. There's nothing wrong about it. The second thing is I had issues with my references with the information that was taken away from them. For example, I had one references for which I started working 5 years ago. Actually, I started in January 2012, and they've just completely disregarded that because of the 5-year period. Also, those two references that I brought to them, both of them, they mentioned that I have a cleaning franchise for 6 years that I cannot bring information for. But what I brought tonight is a document that said what contracts I got, which contracts I got through this franchise, and that was 2011. There's no way for me to put you in contact with those managers of those locations. First of all, it's CleanEd. It's a multinational corporation that gives me these contracts. And these contracts are very secure locations, which are banks. Most of them are even the Citizens Banks. I actually have the one in Roswell right now. And there's no way for me in contact to put you to speak with those managers of those banks. It's just something that I cannot do through the process of the contracts that I have with the CleanEd. And they just refuse to take that in consideration, and they refuse to disregard my bid. And I'm here to contest that and to put it in perspective for you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Would you like to see any documents?
You can
Okay.
send it down.
That's just one copy.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Anyone else? Looks like a familiar lady. Please state your name.
Sandy Baker. And I just had a brief comment. Here is my capacity as a voter, because I vote in the Precinct 8, and we share a building with Precinct 7. And this is something I've noticed the last few elections. It's that precinct day, we can pretty much walk in and out. Even when it's a really big, busy election like we had this year, it really didn't take that long to vote. Unfortunately, for the people in Precinct 7, they had to watch us just sort of blow right by them. And when I went to vote, there had to be, I'm guessing, about 100 people lined up. I mean, they had them lined up through the building, out the door, and down the ramp. And my husband said it was the same thing when he went to vote later in the day. And it just, like the last few elections, it's really been going that way. So my question, I guess, is how are the precincts divided? How do we wind up in a situation where the one precinct gets right in and out and the other one is waiting and waiting and waiting like that? And what possible recourse could there be to maybe make things a little bit more even, for lack of a better word? And that's about it. I really don't have any suggestions because I don't know how that's done. So that's.
So we can't answer the question, but that's a question that maybe our administrator can answer,
Okay,
because he's the city clerk.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard at this time?
Good evening. My name is Devin Patel. I'm one of the
I'm sorry,
owners.
could you state your name again?
Yes. My name is Devin Patel. I'm the owner of the Imperial Motel on Gratiot Avenue. And the concern I have today is my neighboring business, which is a hookah bar. The past couple weekends, past week since they've been open, I've been experiencing the most tragic experiences ever. I have to wake up in the morning, I have to find bullet shells and bullet holdings in front of my parking lot. And on top of that, they're using my parking lot to park their cars when they have their own parking lot. Before that business was established, it was a flower business. I've never had a problem with them. I've never had an issue with Eastpointe Police. They've always been there when I've asked. They've always helped me with everything. But this is just a tragic experience that I have to go through. I've been in the business for 15 years. I don't know what can be done at this point, but I'm here to speak about it because it's kind of annoying when I have to wake up in the morning and find bullet shells. The business runs till 2 a.m. every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Eastpointe Police has to be there for them to cooperate with these guys because these guys, they do not listen. And unfortunately, they're not always Eastpointe residents. They're residents that come from all over the area, especially Detroit. And it's just getting to this, at one point, it's just getting annoying because I have to deal with this kind of mess, and I've never had to deal with it before. So that's all I have to say today. I've also have a report of some police reports that were made from other businesses around. If you guys, I don't know who I give this to. So that's about it.
I think we have them.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
My name's Scott Riney, Eastpointe resident. Just wanted to publicly thank Sarah and Cardi for getting the tree across the street from me trimmed. It was more than halfway across the street. The school buses hit it every day, and it was right where the street light is. And I want to thank the city manager's office and Tony at the DPW because without them, I still wouldn't have no street light. And 3 of my neighbors greatly appreciate it too. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Larry Cheeseman. I live at the apartment complex right next to the motel where the shootings have been going on. There are many, many shootings. He didn't really specify how many. It's too hard to tell. It's just been escalating worse and worse. There was actually one shootout with one of the people in my apartment on election day. I was watching the news and heard gunfire. It was an actual shootout between my neighbor and some of the people leaving the hookah lounge. There's also been urinating, yelling in the middle of the night. It just goes on. So I'm just kind of confirming what the motel owner said. That's about it. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming forward.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard?
My name is Alicia Beadle, 8 weeks ago, I stood here asking for help regarding a series of property thefts on our block. Since that day, 5 more incidents have taken place, 3 at our house alone. An attempted break-in, 2 cars ransacked, a car stolen, and an attempted theft of my vehicle. Our neighbors stayed for 6 months before they got so fed up with the violence and the crime that they left. When I called and asked for help from the police department, the officer who responded told me that there's 12 officers for 35,000 residents and no more money for any more. When I asked for financial assistance from the police department in fixing my vehicle, the lieutenant I spoke to on the phone laughed at me. I have made calls to the prosecutor's office asking for assistance. Those have not been returned. The only city official that I have heard from is a code enforcement officer telling me I couldn't have chickens in my backyard. I cannot understand how we have no money for police and no crime victims fund when we have $45,000 to spend on a new SUV for the police department, for over $100,000 in fire department overtime incentives and 3,300 unnecessary EMS calls from our fire department last year alone. We contract all of our medical out to MedStar, so there's no reason that our fire department even needs to respond to the medical calls in this city. So why is it that we pay double for our EMS services and have no money for our police officers? 7 of the 8 criminals in the thefts in our neighborhood have not been caught, and yet code enforcement and parking enforcement manage to patrol regularly. When I can be a victim of 4 separate crimes in 8 weeks, but somehow I'm the one under threat of legal action for having chickens that are actually ducks, because apparently our code enforcement officer doesn't know the difference, it makes me question what the priorities in this city are. We're not safe, our kids are not safe, and our property is not safe. We as residents need help from the city. We don't need to be mocked by our police, we don't need to be ignored by the prosecutor's office, and we don't need to be in constant fear of when the next violation from the code enforcement office is coming. We need help.
Thank you, Alicia. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Does anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to approval of the minutes, and we'll start with the regular meeting of November 15th. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 15th, 2016.
Support.
Move and support. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. We have no scheduled hearings. We have one item under unfinished business. That's the second reading on the adoption of ordinance number 1133 of the council bylaws. Do we have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to give second reading to and adopt ordinance number 1133, which would amend the bylaws of City Council, which may allow speakers addressing the City Council to appear on camera.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. We'll move on to reports from administration. We'll start with our city manager, Mr. Duchesne.
A few things, try to help with the public comments. Obviously, the vendor that has appeared, we have supplemental information, but fundamentally did not qualify as a bidder for statements made in the information prior and specifications on the bid. Plus, the vendor did not, their representative not attend the pre-bid meeting until 45 minutes after it had started. So if there was any misunderstandings, it was probably in part due to that. But we cannot recommend that vendor based on the history or references that do not appear to be significant and meeting our specifications, so it is not a qualified bidder moving ahead. Second item was regarding precincts, and basically the precincts 7, 8 are balanced in number. Like all precincts, it depends on when people show up and what their flow is. The facilities and the laptops are set up the same for both. Had a high turnout, greater in one than the other, and it always seems to be unbalanced when that happens at times. Overall, in the numbers at the end of the day, they're surprisingly close. But I appreciate the comment, Sandy, and you keep trying to look at ways to make that more efficient as it goes, and thank you for bringing that up and working.
Steve, a quick comment on that. Were the precincts, do the borders have to be larger streets too? I thought I recall that from when we split that last precinct.
Yeah, you have, we have a lot of conditions, street access, and in this case too, of course, the state law requires no precinct be larger than 2,999 voters, so there are other things that go into consideration. But yeah, we try to balance them where they can, and the physical location is restricted by state statute.
Okay. Thank you.
The speakers from the hotel and the apartment owners, we fully appreciate and understand the issue. Director, I will give the director an opportunity to comment if he wishes. I didn't want to surprise him with the question, but we have had contacts, and the department's been working with the owners of the lounge that has been a location outside of the lounge to create perhaps an attractive nuisance condition, and we are pursuing that. Director, would you like to comment at all on that item?
Yes. We are very aware of the problems down at the Hookah Lounge, especially lately with the recent incidents that have occurred. We're keeping extra patrols down there to try to keep the order. And we've also spoken at length to the owner of the business to tell him what the expectations are as far as controlling the business and the property there. We've discussed our options with the city attorney, and we're looking for the situation to improve down there, and if it doesn't, then we'll look to take further action.
Thank you very much, Director. A couple of things I'd like to mention tonight. One is really the kickoff of a program that the Central Dispatch Agency, or CERISA, is recently signed on with, and we endorse and encourage people to take a look at this, which the title of the program is Smart 911. At Smart 911, a citizen in the service area is able to go online and actually sign up for Smart 11 and provide information preloaded into the system that'll be available to call takers if there's a 911 call. For example, you can put in information about emergency contacts preloaded. It's in that system. It is a protected system. It can't be shared with anyone outside of the call taker and dispatchers. This will allow you to put in who to contact, what perhaps information about the house that's detailed, family details, medical information, animals, where animals are and how many should be there, where they are, so that this would be accessible to the dispatchers under E911 and therefore available to our responding personnel. We have information up on the city website and a brochure that's downloadable. I certainly endorse this, and if anybody has any questions, we can certainly refer you to our CERISA Director, Sherry Bartram, but I think it is something that could lead to additional security and utilization by people in emergency situations. I would also like to mention we should probably have a discussion regarding the MERS pension requests on the court. I did owe you a financial analysis, and if somebody, a finance officer, stop having like surgeries and things, I guess he could get that done. So we hope to we hope to get that to you in the next few weeks. But we should have a discussion pretty soon and discuss where you'd like to, how you'd like to entertain that or discuss that further with the court in some manner. And lastly, I'm pleasantly able to report that Mayor Fouts of Warren contacted me this afternoon, and he affirmed his understanding of their plans, and he said he's actively ongoing and is committed with being a man of his word, that the city of Warren intends to take action to fix the problems with the wastewater sewer system in the area that borders Eastpointe, including building a facility and structure, and they're in the process of acquiring property. He said it was unfortunate that wasn't communicated earlier, and I told him that the city council obviously would seeking just to have the problems rectified that's been going on for several years. Attempts have been made to contact personnel, and I'm sorry if he wasn't informed of those or aware of those, but he told me today that he firmly would stay with it, and they're working virtually around the clock right now to address the problem. So I'm pleased to report that to council, and we'll keep you informed of any other notices or information that the city of Warren provides to us. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Any idea on a timeline on it, just like a guess? Will we ever see it?
Well, I think in the information, again, I'm relaying, Counselor, what the mayor told me. He said that they are working tirelessly on it right now to identify and conclude action on the property, which would then be followed up by a $25 to $30 million investment. Everything indicated, and I couldn't testify as to a timetable, but the implication was for Eastpointe, we're going to be working on this now consistently as a project to get this done, and won't stop since we've started until it's completed.
Has there, a couple more, have you had another follow-up meeting with the Macomb County in regards to the animal shelter?
Actually, we have had a good follow-up with the Humane Society. Again, Director, if there's any comments you feel comfortable making being directly associated with that, I would turn it over to you.
Yes, we did meet with the Humane Society and discussed a contract arrangement with them, and we're still working out the details with that to see if it's actually going to work. The hope is that the long-term solution is with the Macomb County Animal Shelter in the near future. So we are in discussions with the Humane Society. In the meantime, we have an acceptable arrangement with the animal hospital.
Okay. Go ahead.
Back to flooding really quickly. We're still waiting on a very final report of the smoke testing, I believe, right?
The investigative side is pretty well compiled. AEW is supposed to be reviewing that and trying to put some analytics to some of the results that were found. As I mentioned before, we didn't find any physical problems and any stress on the public system. What we did find was maybe a bit of a return to things that have contributed in the past and due to age and time, such as backflow preventers, it seems like maybe have failed. We've got some backyard connections into the sanitary for water drainage. Nothing that was like that one, point to go to, but they are compiling a final, so they'll have that available. I'll check on the time. I expected it probably in the next few weeks anyway.
Okay, so hopefully, maybe like where, gutters were hooked right into the system, we can start to hopefully help move off of all those smaller, the backflow preventers, like you're saying, hopefully just little at a time, and maybe it'll prevent, hopefully that's what that final report's going to say, and then hopefully we can work on that kind of thing.
In fact, to your point, what we've already started is some educational material development about where the roof drains, how they're not supposed to be connected, and some pictures. And I don't want to be silly, but not everybody understands and delves into sanitary all that much for fun. So we'll do some more illustrations and maybe the backflow preventers. I have actually done a little research and found that some communities are offering some kind of incentives for backflow preventer replacement, and some of the staff has brought that up as maybe an opportunity too. We're looking at packaging it up for you as far as a number of things we can do proactively.
I like the sounds of that. And then I had a question, my favorite vendor, Able Electronics. Didn't see a report.
I've spoken to the two staff members who are compiling some information, working on your request. I think maybe we should have a quick conversation about exactly what output you'd like now. That I have a report on my desk, or it's off in my side tray that I haven't looked at about Able, but maybe we can discuss what else, so we kind of wrap that up.
Okay, that was all.
Anyone else?
Got another question here. I noticed Cardi brought up about some of the pavement, the cost of the inspection for having some of this pavement inspection done with the testing engineers. Is that just where they take the core sample from from the pour, and they have that just compression tested, or do they actually do, there's another test where they check the cement when it's still soft, and I forget what they call it, a slag
Yeah,
test?
cylinder test they take and do
They
this,
pour it in
yeah.
it, and they pull it out, and they put a stopwatch on it till it sags into a puddle or something? Is that?
It is my understanding those are, all those types of tests included in that particular core sampling, base sampling, and then compression and compaction.
Okay,
And,
but it's the sample's
density.
kind of like the one that's at the front door,
yeah.
that's
yeah.
sitting there? That's
Yeah,
been
we
there?
put that one to good use, you can see that.
You know, obviously, they take more than one, but
Yeah.
they left that one as a doorstop, apparently. And I just kind of wonder if they really go around to testing those.
They take those in at the time, and it has to go to the lab and
Okay.
have that density drop test.
And then it brings up my favorite subject is the sled hill. I saw we just purchased a numerous amount of shrubs and installed shrubs up there. For the last 2 years, we bought 600 hay bales to also supplement some barrier work on that. Is that anticipated that we're gonna still have to do that again with hay bales?
They've already been ordered. We've got to have hay bales down around the base of all the trees in case somebody does something stupid and go down the backside. That was one of the insurance request, strong recommendations. Yeah, the second round of shrubbery that went in was additionally insurance related to give the visual of, don't sled here kind of thing. There's also going to be a split rail fence that'll go up along the outside of the walkway. Right now, we have a dirt trail that isn't a walkway, but people turned it into one. There's a real walkway that goes up around the backside of the sledding hill. The fencing's going to go in to stop anybody from sliding down the back. It also gives people the ability to hold on to something so they don't slip and, pull a muscle or something. These were all recommendations by MMRMA, and both the second round of the shrubs and the split rail fence will go in as a second RAP grant request through MMRMA.
When do you think that fence would be in?
It is supposed to start this week. I haven't gotten official notice they've started, but it's supposed to start this week.
Before the frost?
Yep.
I have a request about the hay bales. You guys put them in front of the trees, and then last year, I think you lined the parking lot with them. Is there any way we could get hay bales to line the fence behind the sledding hill? Because I know for a fact that last year, there were kids that obviously do not follow the rules, and they'd sled down the backside, and they would crash into the fence. I just feel like they're more likely to get hurt if the sled goes underneath that fence.
Okay.
If you just set hay bales there for them.
Yeah, I've got a picture of a kid with his feet caught under the fence. Like, go figure, there's a fence there, but they're gonna sled into it.
So, just, just along the perimeter there behind.
I still think a fence on the top of it, if the split rail
The
fence,
split rail fence will go around the back, so it will prevent anybody going from the very top down the backside, but that doesn't stop them from jumping the fence and trying to go down. I will mention to Mr. Pry tomorrow at staff about putting some hay bales back there. But I do know he's already made the order. They should be delivered here real soon, so.
Anything else?
no.
Let's move on to Mr. Blum.
Okay, Madam Mayor and Council. I know in the city manager's Friday report, he mentioned that we received our check for the loss in personal property tax revenues. It came in, excuse me, just shy of $118,000, and that is about 94% of what we lost. So again, another state program that doesn't fully reimburse us. Better than I actually anticipated, but it is not 100%. We'll see in the coming years if it improves, but that's the first go-around. And I'm anticipating that we'll have the physical audit reports delivered on Friday, and it'll go in the Friday pack. If you do not receive one in your Friday packet, I will get the Adobe file emailed out Friday, so you have that and can review it before the meeting. But if they don't show up Friday, they'll be here Tuesday for the meeting. So.
And just a note, again, it's not the auditor's report only this year, it is, as it always has been, it's the city's report, but this year it's going to look considerably different. So If you're looking for that black and white, old-fashioned Plant Moran only copy, you won't see that. This is going to be a GFOA document that fits the Distinguished Financial Achievement Award consideration. So it's going to look a little more comprehensive. It'll look like a corporate financial report style when you see it.
And that's all I have.
Got one question
Is
for
it
you.
going to come with instructions of how to read
Yes,
it?
there will be a video.
Go on YouTube.
Or do we all have to go back to school in order to read the audit report? All right.
Got a question for you. My favorite reading, delinquent tax report out of the county.
Okay.
I'm curious, I find it interesting reading, but you got a facility on 10 Mile Road owes $41,000 worth of tax for like, how many years have they not paid? And the building's still there? And
Yeah,
it
I would have to
houses-
look at the specific property, but a
and it
lot of times.
Houses a law firm,
Okay.
which seems kind of ironic to me that they're not paying taxes.
In most cases, it would be 2 years, but it depends if the treasurer had cut a payment plan and then they failed to follow through. I've seen ones that have been as many as 4 years' worth of taxes when we get them back. So it really depends property by property. But as a general rule, it'd be 2 years' worth.
Still seems like it's a fair-sized building, but
Yeah.
it seems like it's got to be more than a couple of years.
For that amount, it
Yeah.
sure seems like it. Unless there could be delinquent water, some other,
It's an office building.
non-tax-related
Unless they
things.
got a pool in the basement, I don't think so.
Oh, you'd be surprised that if you don't pay your bill, how quick it adds up.
All right. I just still find that pretty interesting
Yeah.
to cruise through this.
It's
You looking to
always
buy one, or?
It's much smaller now than what it was like in 2009 and 10. It was like that before. All right, let's move on to our city attorney, Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I'd like to address Ms. Beadle's statement during the hearing of the public. Ms. Beadle, we have a relatively short agenda this evening, so if you could wait around till the end of the meeting so you could provide me with the time or the date that you contacted my office, because I don't recall ever getting a message from you. So I'd like to find out when that day was and figure out why I never received the message. I appreciate it. Thank you. And Madam Mayor, the council's in receipt of our monthly status report. Unfortunately, it was rather long this time, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Had one question about the chickens, and what we, informally passed at council here. We'd mentioned that we wanted to see a draft ordinance out of the planning commission. Then I see that they simply said, we recommend no change. I think, at least if I'm not wrong, mistaken, for the rest of council, I thought we were expecting them to come up with the specifics for a draft ordinance. Could be very strict, could be, however they felt, but I thought that's what we were expecting back, not if we were going to do it at all or not.
Mr. Marion and I were both at that planning commission meeting, and that issue did come up last week. I know that topic was explored at the previous meeting, and the commission, it was my understanding, as well as Mr. Marion's understanding, that the commission was to review the possible implementation or drafting of a proposed ordinance. The commission did consider several factors. I believe there were at least 5 or 6 different factors that it considered in determining that it was not in the city's best interest to draft an ordinance. If there was a mistake in communication, certainly that's something that could be sent back to the planning commission, but it was our understanding that it was just for the planning commission to review the possibility of drafting.
And according to the minutes, it was a large majority. There was only one person that abstained, didn't even vote yes.
All right.
Oh, from the planning commission.
From the
Right.
planning commission. There was no nays, all in favor of not changing it, and 1 abstained.
And I don't remember the specifics of the.
Specific reasons was no public support at that meeting.
Well,
There was-
the public support was council, but, 3 of 5 of us suggested.
But
But
that meeting
at
was
the planning
identified as
commission
a
meeting,
hearing.
And it was published, but there was no public support there. There was the fact that it was brought up that it's an urban community. They didn't see a value added to the city. They thought there was a big issue because of yard size. A lot of the properties within the city are very narrow. There was an environmental health issue, and then also there was actually no support from all the commission members.
Well, maybe we'll just discuss offline a little more.
I do want to just comment on that. I had the same understanding as Councilmember DeMonico, that we were going to get an ordinance because we wanted the discussion to happen here, but we just wanted something in front of us to discuss, basically. But perhaps that doesn't have to go through the planning commission. Can we just have an ordinance drafted from our city attorney if we want to have, like, you know, for us to review?
Our office can certainly put something together. Generally speaking, when there's an amendment to the zoning ordinance, it begins at the planning commission level, and that's where the debate is, that debate takes place. Members of the public have an opportunity to appear and give their input. But if the city council directs the city attorney's office to draft a proposed ordinance, certainly that's something that we could make a draft of, yes.
How does council feel about that, I guess? Is there enough people here who want to see an ordinance to discuss?
I mean, I'm definitely interested in seeing an ordinance to discuss. I feel like this is something that we need to decide on because it's been brought up for a couple of years now.
Right.
About, you know, it being in question, so that we can finally give people a
I don't-
definitive answer.
I'm not interested because I don't think we have enough public interest so far, and we've discussed this at a couple meetings. There's only been one person that's come forward, and it's been on our agenda and published agenda, and so far we only have one person. If we had a larger number of people, I would be interested in looking at it, but it takes a lot of time to review an ordinance, and once we have a negative response from the planning commission as well, I'm not interested in doing it, but maybe there's enough support otherwise.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I think going into the future, though, I had run across one of my friends who has chickens in Ferndale, might attract more folks to the community. I don't expect every house to have chickens. Not everyone's going to want them. I'm not going to have chickens, but I just thought it was something we could look into. So, yeah, I guess if I'd be all right
Well,
with
I
that.
guess that would
with
be 3-2. so
Councilman
if you want
Kleinfeld.
the-
I have no interest in
I have
it
absolutely no
whatsoever.
interest because I'm also really concerned about the infection rate. Because recently in the
Bird
state
flu?
of, in the state of Michigan, there have been 56 outbreaks of salmonella that are totally dependent upon backyard chickens. So I'm real concerned about that as well as the size of the lot and so forth. But if the majority wants that, then you can go
If you
ahead.
still look at the ordinance that are out there from the cities that drafted one, went through the bother of doing it, they're so complex and restrictive, it's to the point they're saying you really can't have them. Because if you do have them, the first question is, then how do you dispose of these chickens? Well, right now, there's an issue in Miami. They actually have a police agency that goes out and catches wild chickens in Miami because of the problem they had allowing chickens, and the people let them go because you can't slaughter them. So they says it's not a producing animal anymore, they let it go. So they have wild chickens running all over Miami, and they got a police agency going out catching these chickens. Seriously, look into it. If you look at the one city nearest, they had one person inquire at one time in Roseville. They have no permits issued in Roseville or ever have had, and they have one of the most restrictive ordinances out there. And again, it's when the restriction of the ordinance, the chickens no longer produce, what do you do with them? Now you have a disposal problem. Or, what, we're gonna let these go?
And that resident moved away so they could live on a farm where they would have more room to raise their chickens.
Well, I mean, your points to me is reasons to have an ordinance. We can make it really restrictive.
Right now, it says you can't have them.
No, I mean, if we amended it to allow chickens, I'm fine with having a really
Well,
restrictive.
what's the point of saying you can have them, but here's all these restrictions, rather than just leaving it as is and say you can't have them?
Well,
What's the advantage? We're gonna waste all that time and energy to write a law that says that's so restrictive that you can't do it.
It would
where it
s-
says right now, you can't do it.
And it would still have to go back to the planning commission, because they're gonna have to come up with all the restrictions related to the large lots and so forth.
Well, it won't be the first complicated ordinance by far. If there's a, just look through all the zoning and all that and the ordinance, code of ordinances. But,
I think we could spend a lot more constructive times on other topics than worrying about chickens. Enough said. I don't have any more to say on it.
All right. I'm still fine with having, having the discussion, even if it's to accommodate one resident. If we come up with something manageable, that's how I feel about that. So,
Yeah, I agree too, because I feel like urban farming is getting more and more popular. And, I mean, I know, like they said, just one resident really has showed interest right now, but I feel like it's something that even down the road that might have to be addressed, so why not just deal with it? Anyways, that's my
So
question.
are you directing then the city attorney to write an ordinance and then take it back to the planning commission?
is that how it would, could we just have it come directly to us to discuss it, or does it need to
We've got to go
give
plan.
them,
It's gotta
give
go
them an
back to
ordinance and
planning.
then?
It ultimately has to go to planning, and then come to the council.
With their
With
recommendation.
the approval, but we can draft a proposal, and I can have it for council consideration to look at. And if the council wanted to add or delete provisions in there, can certainly do so. If that's the direction that the council intends on going, what is the, what meeting would you like that draft by?
I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're going into winter, so there's no rush on it.
Just let me know and I'll have it ready.
Maybe by January or something, or,
First meeting in January?
yeah, fine
Do
with
we
me.
have to take a vote on that? We
Well-
don't have to take a vote until it comes back to council, correct?
Yeah, if this is understood, we've taken, obviously, an open discussion. Consensus interest of council is to have a draft ordinance to review. I don't think you'll have to vote unless
Until it
Rich would
comes
feel
back.
comfortable until it comes back.
I'll have a draft ready for the first meeting in January.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for the attorney?
Thank
All
you.
right, let's move on to new business, and the item A is the award of the bid for the custodial services. We have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I motion to award the 3-year contract for custodial porter services to American Cleaning LLC out of Macomb Township, Michigan, in the amount of $109,500 annually, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this bid award.
We have support?
Support.
I'll support.
Got 2, 3.
I'd like to make a quick comment. I do appreciate the Weeby Cleaning Services vendor, Victor, for coming out and talking about his business. Personally, American Cleaning Company is our current contractor, and I'm very happy with them. And that'll be the reason that I will vote to keep them. I hope that in 3 years you come out again, if this goes through, and put in your bid again. And I'd be happy to talk to you about any of the issues you brought up too, also at the stand about other meetings and such. So.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Item B is the award of the bid for the biohazard cleanup services.
Madam Mayor, I motion to award a 1-year contract for biohazard cleanup services to American Cleaning LLC out of Macomb Township, Michigan, in the amount of $55 per event, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to the bid award.
Support.
Move and support. Any discussion?
Yeah. I'm like really curious why the one vendor, I mean, you kind of comparing apples and apples, and his price is astronomical. I mean, and then you still look at it, it's per incident, and then what I'd like to do is to define what the incidents are. I mean,
It is virtually a cleanup on aisle 5 call. I mean, it is a biohazard. There's standards and specs about what, employees should be exposed to and not to, and the toxic guidelines. I mean, without being
I
too.
could see it's blood-borne pathogens, but then you get into X number secreted body fluids.
Yes,
I mean,
intentionally
that's-
or unintentionally, they're covered. Yes.
So currently our officers are cleaning everything, or who does it currently?
No, that was kind of, the reason this was separated by the purchasing agent was that there's some lack of clarity, and it was a special request at the time. And again, I guess without having specifications exactly, what is a routine cleanup, which becomes then, or jumps over to being a very non-routine cleanup, which is a special incident, is a little bit gray. And there was a dispute about how many hours and what kinds of material and how it would have to be disposed of. So it was sort of put together in the last bid, but there was some discrepancies about who should be handling and what kind of personnel. A cleaning company doesn't send, for instance, to this building, people who are completely ready to do hazmat under a normal contract. So you end up calling them specially in. So this should clarify that nice and neat, and know when we're under American cleanings, now that the contract was approved, what their general cleaning is, specs are, and then when this causes a special cleanup, they would be
We'll
billing us
actually
on
be
it.
in a little bit of a learning curve in the process of this.
Perhaps a little bit, which is interesting, though, I think, speaking to your point about the somewhat notable difference from the other bidders, I think perhaps part of the difference is knowing a little bit of what the exposures are and having a little more confidence to bid a number that's more, we would find in line with
Imagine
industry.
detailing the back seat of a cruiser versus hosing out of cells, big difference.
It would be to me.
But this company is out in Macomb Township. How long will it take for them to have someone get to our police station?
Well, actually, this is going to be also the same American Cleaning Company.
Right.
So that will assist in that. We don't know, their response time is respond within 2 hours is part of the spec
Okay.
pack, so,
All right, that's what I was asking.
yeah.
All right.
And it does seems a bit low. Are these like 1 hour jobs or something? I guess I thought it would take longer or something, and probably roughly.
I think they are kind of all over the page, so I kind of feel empathy for the vendor and giving us a number, because you could almost, I guess, negotiate a number per incident depending on what happened. As the director will indicate over at his shop, we have a variety of exposures, to say the least, so.
Okay.
And was it, just one more small question, we said it's roughly like 5 to 6, and I saw it said the police, was that including the court? I think it just didn't say in the sentence.
Yeah,
It was
sometimes police, we use the term police building over there, including the court. but-
Figured, just wanted to clarify. That was all I had.
Well, it says district court.
It does say court building.
Well, it did at one part,
Yeah.
but then in the financial impact, it just said police department, so I just thought I'd ask.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
And let's move on to payroll and bills. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $2,216,362.01.
Support?
Move and support. Any questions, further questions? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
All right, with that, we'll move to the second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Anyone wish to be heard?
Again, my name is Alicia Beadle. I'm the one who's been pushing for the backyard chickens. I would just like to point out to the city council that for those of you who are opposed to only one resident requesting the backyard chickens, that it took 21 days from start to finish for the approval of allowing 2 ducks, no permits, no building structures, no going back and forth between committees, nothing. It was read, done, and approved. And that was all done as a favor to the friend for, I believe, one of the or the council members right now. So I find it a bit unsettling that because a regular citizen is requesting this, that it's being opposed as hard as it is, when it was literally a matter of a reading of a new ordinance, which is 1015, which allows 2 ducks in the city. And 21 days later, it was affirmed and put on the record. I mean, I can show you all the documentation proving that paper trail if you guys need it, but it's a bit unsettling, and it also is against the code ordinances of this very city, because it shows preferential treatment by the city council, and it also shows impropriety with a elected official. So I would request a little bit more review on this subject based on the previous request and allowance of ducks, which are essentially a lateral move between the ducks and the chickens. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Please go forward.
Good evening again. After I heard everyone else in this room, I just have one question. First of all, why would the city, when there's people over here asking about money, why would the city choose a $88,000 extra contract to pay $88,000 over 3 years? And first of all, why would the city risk a definitely lawsuit for Freedom of Information Act that would be worth a lot more money just to give the same contract to the same cleaning that they had? And from my understanding, being in every building over here, was that the cleaning is not actually to the expectations. That's all my questions for today.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Mr. Rainey?
Just curiosity is killing the cat. Why is there a big problem with the problem of slaughtering the chicken after it's done producing eggs? I raised 138,000 birds every 32 days for human consumption for Pilgrim's Pride in Bogota, Texas. I also worked for Tyson's at their Broken Bow process plant. You know, people bring home animals from up north that they shot, deer, all that. They process them right in their garage. A bird is 3 to 5 pounds. You know, I don't know if it's a state statute that said you can't kill a bird. I don't know. I was just curious about that, if y'all can enlighten me about that.
Does anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Anyone else? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. We'll move to mayor and council's reports, and let's start with Mr. Kleinfeld.
I don't have much. I just want to remind everyone about the tree lighting tomorrow here at 7 p.m. And do our doors open, Steve, earlier than that for people to come in and do like the cider and?
Yeah, I think it's almost after 5 people come
Yeah.
right in and get set up and do
The,
that, but.
yeah, the lines are here at 5:30,
Yeah.
but cider and donuts starts at 6.
Okay, well, I expect I'll probably see everyone tomorrow, so that's all I have.
Mrs. Lucido?
I would just like to say that the library is hosting their holiday bazaar on Thursday, December 8th from 2 to 7 p.m. And also, I just hope to see everyone tomorrow at the tree lighting. It's a great event for the family. Hope everyone can bring their little ones out. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Marion?
As far as the tree lighting, I don't know if everybody caught the little note in the East Sider, but we're gonna have s'mores this year at a couple of burn barrels that are gonna be set up. They're kinda neat. They do them up at the Roseville tree lighting. They're gonna bring a couple of those in for ours for the first time, so it's gonna be very interesting, let's see, in addition to our normal tree lighting. As far as the most recent fundraiser, the Goodfellows at Cloverleaf on Saturday was, I think, had to have been a record turnout and a record crowd. We waited a half an hour at the bar just to get a seat, and the place was packed. The overflow parking was actually using the West Side Old Colonial Dodge parking lot. There was that many cars. They'd taken over the whole place. Another observation, that our SMDA group on the Chapton Pump Station, the Anthony Marco sign that was as big as the building is no longer there. Question I have for our representative to that is, who paid for that sign?
He did.
Who did?
He did.
Who put it up? Who took it down?
I don't know. We've had major discussions about it and have got no answers.
So that, I'd still be kind of curious about that, because I just thought that was pretty coincidental that it showed up before the election. The thing was, then the lettering for the Chapton Pump Station was about 1/10 the size of the Anthony Marco
Right.
font. So, didn't think that was fair. A reminder coming up, my dog park key fob holders, the renewal letters going out probably the first of the week, that you gotta get your key fobs renewed. Making sure you remember to do that, because by January 13th, we'll be turning off all the key fobs that haven't been renewed. So please do it. We got a little blurb in there about some of the things we've accomplished this year. Putting up security cameras by the benefit of having a member donate a large sum of money to allow us to do that. We were able to put up the gazebo so that when inclement weather, you don't have to stand out in the rain with your dog. We just recently had the water turned on and turned off because of the cold weather, but we're ready to go for next year, and we're looking forward to that. And other than that, that's all I have.
All right, Mr. DeMarco.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, if anyone sends a letter to the council, at least sign your name and leave some contact info, please, and thank you. Second, we cleaned up the flower bed for beautification, the one out in the median and Gratiot there for the year. And put this on your calendars pretty far ahead, but Wednesday, February 15th at 7 p.m. will be the Beautification Awards. Please come out to that. That is always a great event. My next item here, went to the Opiate Awareness Night that was held in Fraser, and opened my eyes. I would have to say that was, if you don't know too much about opiates, about drug abuse, check out Families Against Narcotics, and their website is familiesagainstnarcotics.org. But a few things I learned was that for $5, you can get high on heroin. 2,000 teens become addicted to prescription pills every day. And then also, which I learned, which is, thank you, Director McNeilance, we have Narcan, which will reverse an overdose. Our police officers have that, and MedStar uses it. If you're not familiar with it, it's just something that'll reverse an overdose. It's just a nasal spray. So check out that website again, familiesagainstnarcotics.org. It's very enlightening. You know, hopefully you don't know anyone with an issue, but if you do, check it out, and hopefully that can help. Yep, tree lighting again tomorrow. Well, come before 7 o'clock. We'll hit the lights about then, I guess. And next week, we're doing the council audit, and we're doing the capital forecast also, right, next week?
The capital forecast is January 10th.
Oh, we moved that. Oh, yeah, that was moved to 10. Yeah.
Next week is just clearly just the annual financial report.
All right, shorter meeting. And I have one more item. Lately, well, not lately, just want to address one of our neighbors being in the news recently on the Roseville Community Schools Board of Education. There's a member, the vice president, Alfredo Francisconi, that posted racist messages on his Facebook account. I just want to say I cannot stand by and be tolerant of this hate speech. His opinions are unfounded and ignorant and just wrong. I'm sure everyone has probably seen this in the news by now. Let me be clear, though, too, he's different than most of us. And although we do live in an area where some people say things have changed, or remember what it used to be like, don't be fooled. These are subtle comments about the lack of diversity that our area used to have. As a nation, city, and governing body, we need to embrace the talents and energy of our residents, students, and neighbors. Racism has no place in our community. What happened to judging folks on the content of their character, not their skin color, or religion, or ethnicity? This is I've seen too much of this, so I just had to address this. Generalizing a whole group of people due to bad apples is not right. How come white people aren't judged by the actions of Adolf Hitler, Ted Bundy, or Timothy McVeigh, Terry Nichols? Why? Well, because it's not right, and that same consideration must be taken with blacks, Muslims, any other race or religion. And should Mr. Francisconi resign? I think so, unless he's willing to apologize and change his ways. I don't care what his politics are, if he's Republican, Democrat, Green Party, Libertarian, happy to debate those issues civilly. I think hopefully everyone else should. But this is not an issue that should be debated. Folks need to be treated as individuals and with respect. I don't need to have gone to high school here with a lot of black folks to tell you that they're good people. I don't need to have joined a fraternity, Delta Sigma Phi, at the University of Michigan Dearborn, to tell you that Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists, all good people. My fraternity was in fact founded by a Jewish man and Christian man because at the time it was not socially acceptable to mix. So let's start to respect each other, especially those that don't share your religion or your race. And again, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So I am trying to do my part right now. And remember, with Martin Luther King Day coming up, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I don't have anything except to say that one of the things that we're very proud of in our local city is something called PACE, Police and Community for Equality. We work very close with the police. It's a very well-integrated program. Anyone can come to any of the meetings. They're held on the fourth Tuesday now, and usually over in the police department. And we have a fairly good attendance from across the area. We work very close with that. The Narcan grant that we had for our police officers actually came through the product of the coalition, the Eastpointe Area Coalition, which meets usually on a monthly basis. And and that's sole purpose of that group is to provide information related to that. And when Narcan became available more and more and became more and more necessary, we worked with our police officers. Mark Kilgore was in charge of that group and worked very well with the chief to set it all up. So it works out well so that it's not just, it's also our fire department as well. So, and it's used very frequently and throughout the whole entire area. So I'll entertain, everybody be sure and come out tomorrow night. It's going to be lots of fun, always is. It's so great to see all the kids. They get so excited. And it's always amazing to me how the parks people can transform this room into a Santa Claus village in a very short period of time. They do such a great job. So I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Mayor, make a motion to go into closed session for attorney-client privilege communications and pending litigation.
Support.
Move support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.